Before I had said about decluttering my house about 4 years ago, the only person that I had ever heard of in the decluttering realm was Marie Kondo. I wish so badly that I had known about resources like The Minimal Mom. I feel like I would have gotten started on this journey much sooner if I had. So today, let's talk about 10 decluttering tips from The Minimal Mom that I wish I'd known sooner. She says, if it is not a clear yes, it is a clear no. I spent decades of my life holding on to items just in case. I always felt like I could see the future potential of items, and I was always worried that later on down the road, I did not want to be caught without it. I didn't want to have to buy the item again, and so I would keep all the items that were just a maybe. This over time filled my entire house basement plus storage units with stuff for just in case. I love the idea that if it is not a clear yes, it is a clear no. She talks a lot about how it's okay to separate sets. I used to feel like I needed to keep every single appendage to every single electronic, the vacuum, my blow dryer. If the item that I bought came with stuff, I felt like such a jerk for decluttering the extra pieces. Again, I paid for all of it, and I think that's where I would get hung up thinking, oh my gosh, I paid for the blow dryer, but I also paid for all these different attachments. I would be so silly to let this stuff go. But Dawn is saying absolutely separate sets. It's totally fine. Get rid of, if you buy a huge set of dishware, it's okay to get rid of some of the pots and pans that you don't even think you're going to use. Get rid of the vacuum appendages. Get rid of the hookups for the blow dryer. It is not going to be useful to you to have your house full of clutter. Dawn talks about how you can declutter more quickly by having a bit of a mindset shift. Instead of prioritizing your stuff and putting yourself, your own mental well-being, your time, your energy below that, flip it around. Start prioritizing yourself, your needs, and then your stuff comes next. Once you put yourself as the priority, it will become a little easier to get rid of the stuff. Let's go back to talking about just in case items, because I feel like this is where a lot of us get hung up. In fact, let me know in a comment, are you somebody that really struggles with just in case? I love Dawn's approach to decluttering just in case items. She says use facts instead of feelings to decide what you get rid of. This is another thing that Dana K. White promotes that I think is so hugely beneficial. Here are a couple of questions that Dawn asks to help you decide if you really need the item or not. Can I use something else instead? If I don't have, and she used the example of an ice cream scoop, if I don't have an ice cream scoop, can I now not serve ice cream? Or can I use another spoon instead? Now, it's fine if you keep your ice cream scoop, but if you think along these lines and just use these facts, can I use something else instead? The other thing she asks is, can you borrow it? Is it something, especially if it's something you don't use very often, is it something you can borrow from a neighbor, a family member, or friend? She suggests giving yourself a yearly budget. I know I'm gonna declutter some stuff that maybe I did actually need in the end. Maybe set a budget of $100 a year for replacing items. It gives you kind of that safety net, and I feel like that's all we really are looking for is some security, some reassurance in decluttering our items. So if you know I've got $100 in my bank reserved specifically for replacing my just in case items that I actually ended up needing, I think that will help us get rid of this clutter because we know we've got that little safety net. I love her approach to decluttering with low motivation. Again, something that I really struggled with for many years of my life. The job seems too big. How and where do I even start? But she suggests just tidying up for a quick 2 minutes. This kind of just gets you moving, which in and of itself is very motivating. But she says if you begin to tidy for, let's just say 2 minutes, and you're now opening drawers and opening cupboards to put things away, you're realizing maybe what cupboards are full, maybe what stuff is shoved to the back, and it makes it kind of a more clear visual of what is actually going on, especially if you're just sticking to one room. I'm gonna clean my bedroom and then I'm gonna declutter in my bedroom. It's really useful to just spend these 2 minutes tidying up in there, giving you that burst of energy, and then giving you kind of that overview of what you've actually got in there that's maybe not working for you. Dawn also talks about body doubling, recruit help to get things decluttered. I also love how this applies to Take It There Now by Dana K. White. She says, if you find something that absolutely needs to be relocated and you know where it goes, take it there now. But here's a really good example of where body doubling could come in super handy. If you're going to be relocating those items on the spot, but you don't want to leave your project, recruit help, have your kids run some things around the house, relocating items, or even do a decluttering project maybe at the end of the night when your husband's home or your partner's home. For years of my life, I blamed myself for my clutter. My cluttered house. I said I'm a bad housekeeper. I am so unorganized. I obviously don't spend enough time cleaning, and I really put all this blame on myself. The Minimal Mom says absolutely no. Don't blame yourself, blame your stuff. I wish I'd known this sooner. Dawn is so right. Do not blame yourself, blame the stuff. It is absolutely its fault. And once you start seeing your stuff as the cause of your discomfort, as the cause of your defeat and anxiety or whatever this stuff is causing you, it gets suddenly so much easier to declutter because you get kind of fed up with it. You're kind of sick of your stuff. You're frustrated with it. And you're suddenly shifting all of that negative energy onto your stuff, and you just want to get it out of your house as quickly as possible. So absolutely try this. Try seeing your stuff as the cause of you feeling unorganized and see if it makes it easier to declutter it. I love Dawn's approach to decluttering. She has a couple ways that she does this. I think they are both brilliant and would have helped me so much more than the Pile It Up method by Marie Kondo, which by the way, I wasn't even doing correctly. I was just overwhelming myself and burning myself out. I had no system and I was definitely unorganized in my decluttering process. But Dawn says, okay, if you're working on a relatively small space, take everything out of the space and divide it into categories. I love this. I love the idea of breaking projects into smaller, more manageable chunks. And when you break things into categories, I think it also helps you see maybe I have too much of this one category, or I have a lot of stuff that can be relocated to the bathroom upstairs. I can take it all there now, and you can just do it in one swoop. I think it saves time, it saves energy, and by breaking the project down, it just makes it seem way more manageable. Let's say you're not working on a small space. She says categorize the items in the room into chunks of time. How much time you think it's going to take to clear this little corner or to declutter this dresser. And then you're gonna put a sign or a sticky note on that area. I love visual stuff like this. And say, I can do this in 5 minutes. The next time you have 5 minutes, you come back to that space. But I feel oftentimes we think in our mind, this thing's gonna take me all day, but in reality, it's really only a small project, especially if we look at the whole room. This is gonna take forever. It's gonna take a day or a weekend. No, it's only gonna take 5, 10, 15 minutes because you're gonna break it down into chunks. So breaking things down into categories, breaking things down into chunks of time, I think is absolutely brilliant. But she feels like if you're not quite ready to rip the Band-Aid off, she also suggests putting things into a time will tell bin. This is a box where you actually write an expiration date on it and you put the items inside and you just let it sit there for a certain amount of time. I personally don't like to let things sit for longer than a month or two because then you forget about them. So put an expiration date on the box. Time will tell if you actually need this item or these items again. Dawn suggests that you match the level of inventory in your home with your current season of life. She talks about bandwidth. You have your mental bandwidth, your physical bandwidth, how much you are actually capable of carrying on your shoulders. What is your capacity given your season of life? Match the inventory in your home with that. This is something I did not do. Hence, my house was completely overrun with toys. I had way too much in every single category, yet I was a young mom with little babies and toddlers. It made no sense for me to have so much inventory in my home. I couldn't handle it. I struggled mentally. I had a lot of anxiety, and I felt, again, very defeated and overwhelmed in my space, ultimately blaming myself. But if I had known to be conscientious of matching the inventory to my current season of life, again, I feel that I would have started the decluttering journey much earlier and saved myself years of accumulation and hassle. Well, Dawn from The Minimal Mom not only has a YouTube channel and a podcast, but she also has a decluttering course where she helps you take your home back with some of my favorite other decluttering gurus here on YouTube. I will have all of that linked down below. Please don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you soon. Bye.